Go ahead, Kak Fairuz, go ahead. Kak Fairuz, you can start first. Introduce yourself. You're muted.
Happens every time. I don't know when I'll get it. Okay, so I'm Fairuz from Malaysia. I'm a Singaporean, but residing in Malaysia, and I have a community of ladies above 55, and we all get together and talk about things that will help us to grow old healthily, wealthily, and spiritually. So basically, trying to be having sanity, growing old with sanity and sustainability.
Beautiful.
That's what I do.
Yes, love your work.
I hope to impact the young people to learn how to grow old, actually. Because I think I missed out on that. So hopefully I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kak Fairuz. Okay, now I'd like to invite Diana. Diana, you ready to share what you work?
Hello, hi, good morning. I'm from Singapore. Okay, my name is Diana. I am the founder of Why Love Matters. So I help moms with teens on holistic healing of their mind, heart, and spirit, so that they can build a relationship that so that it will help the children excelling in their behavior with the parents. Yeah, because I believe love give our lives meaning at the end of the day. So currently I'm helping a few teens for emotional healing. So that's what I do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Maryland, are you available to share?
Hello, everyone. My name is Marilyn. I'm the CEO and founder of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, and we help leaders and organizations across industries to help them with their personal and professional development. So we do that by customizing programs for them that would affect all aspects of their life and their professional or career. And one of my passion project as well is to help women, especially moms, to empower them to bring out their message and their brand to the world. So thank you.
Thank you, Maryland. And hi, Puan Rose Wahida. Welcome. Please introduce yourself and what you do. Go ahead.
Hi, Assalamualaikum, and very good. I think over there is, and can you hear me? I cannot hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. I'm Rose Wahida. I'm by profession, I'm an accountant, a chartered accountant. I am having my own firm, and also I have the company secretarial license for those who want to form the company in Malaysia. And then I can give advices on how to incorporate company in Malaysia, how to run it, how to comply with the Malaysian Companies Act, and also for the accounting, how to comply with the Malaysian Act for the submission of the financial reporting and related services.
Thank you, Puan Rose Wahida.
Right.
Okay, welcome. So now, where are you based in, Mia, right now?
I am in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow. Okay, so we have from North Carolina, we have from Singapore, we have from Kuala Lumpur, and Laura is here in the room. Welcome, Laura. Can you share about yourself, what you do, and where you're located? Go ahead. Laura, are you there?
Hello. Yes. No, I'm sorry. I am just some technical difficulties. My name is Laura Knight, and I am from Massachusetts in the U.S., Boston, and I'm a holistic social equity specialist. Excuse me. And I think that was everything you asked. I'm sorry, Marshida. I was just trying to unmute, and I may have forgotten the order. So I hope that was everything. This is Laura, and I'm finished speaking.
Muted. Thank you, Laura. I said thank you, and you're welcome here. Okay, now we have Zahira. It's from Kuala Lumpur. Say hello, Zahira. Where you from? What do you do?
Hi, good morning. Okay, I'm Zahira. I'm from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I'm an organic skincare formulator. I run a business called Hana Dazzle Organic Skincare, and the reason I am doing this business is that I want to empower women to use finest botanical ingredients in their skincare for holistic well-being. So here I am to learn more about the feminine leadership, and so that I can be a great leader one day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Already. Yes, thank you so much, Zahira. Okay, so you want to say hello, Mia? But I'll be introducing you later also, but say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll say hello. I'm glad to be here. It's still Friday here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm so grateful that Marshida asked me to be here. And I cannot wait to talk to you ladies about what I think it means to be a disruptor and why it's important to be your own disruptor.
Oh, lovely. I am so excited also. Okay, so without further ado, what I'm going to do right now, before we pass the mic over to the stage over to Mia, I would like to share a little bit about a background of why we started this community, so that we realign again to our purpose and what we have been doing so far, right? So I'll share my screen here. Just give me a few minutes. Oh, sorry. Okay. So sharing screen, and here we go. All right, so this is the Feminine Leadership Community. Today's session is going to be on Be Your Own Disruptor with Mia Lamotte from the US. And I'm very excited to have her share with us on her journey, on how she created her own brand and you know, being a disruptor herself. And I know, like, for us women, we've talked about this in our community quite often, and I'll share again in this space, is that sometimes when we you know, a lot of women, when they want to go global, they want to grow their business, they still have this voice in their head, like, am I good enough? Will people buy from me? Who am I to be charging a certain amount? What difference can I make? And all of these voices in your head. And I've gone through that as well. You know, sometimes wherever I go, I mean, I grew up in Singapore, being a Muslim woman. You are a minority already. Being in Malaysia, I'm not considered, like, in terms of race, I'm not a minority, but in terms of gender, yes, it is considered, like, you know, a minority compared to the men. So, and anywhere we go, we will be considered like a minority, or, you know, not the mainstream. So how can you create yourself, a brand for yourself, and how do you step into your self-worth? And this is something that our community is here to support you with. And I do bring every month experts around the world to share about their experience, so that, you know, we all can learn better. We all can learn and apply and be better in our the way we conduct business, and the way we do life. Yeah. So just a little bit sharing of the Live a Legacy community. We are a platform to connect, mentor, and create visibility for conscious entrepreneurs offline and online. And the purpose is to grow profits with purpose. We all in our community are people who actually do good through our business for the people, planet, or economy. And this particular community, which is the amazing Feminine Leadership Community, is the Women's Leadership Development Group under the Live a Legacy, where we empower the women in our community to step into their power so that they become better leaders, better business owners, and community leaders as well. Yeah. So I'd love to share a little bit about why I love, feminine leadership, the concept of feminine leadership. I've been teaching about love and respect for many years already. And what I realized about leadership right now is feminine leadership is on the rise. It is no longer about one-way instruction, like you do this, I expect you to follow. It's not just about, from just the leader's words alone without consideration of the people, and one-way communication. When we talk about feminine leadership, we use a lot of heart-centeredness. We talk about connecting to source. We talk about being intuitive in the way we make decisions, collaboration instead of competition. We talk about building networks, building bridges instead of building walls, right? So I love this feminine leadership, the way we do leadership now. And during COVID, this came up in Forbes, right? Where countries that best deal with coronavirus is actually led by women leaders around the world. So yeah, so this is one of the things that shows that when we tap into our feminine energy and the way we do business, the feminine way, actually we can create more impact. Yeah. So the intention of this community is to get women to lead through their femininity and create conscious businesses and connect with other people around the globe. And that's why I always invite people from all over the world. Like right now we have Mia, we have Laura, and we have other amazing people in our Malaysia and Singapore. All of you here, we connect with one another. And I would like to encourage you all also, if you can, post your contacts in the chat so that people can follow each other, get to know each other, make appointments, and see how you can support each other in business and in connections as well. Yeah. So this is the intention of this community, and also learning from the business that I do right now, which is more than close to 20 years. I've been doing my own business, running out of Singapore and now in Kuala Lumpur. What we notice is there's certain types of people that actually succeed in their business, and there's certain people who they struggle all their lives. And working with marginalized communities in my work also, we started to go into training of mindset besides skill set, but more mindset and connection to their purpose, to source. Only about 5 years ago, when we saw that the years of us distributing food to the homeless, for more than 10 years, right? After 3 years, we still notice they're still low income. They're still giving the same story regarding their money and finances. And that's where our business model shifted to more of education to help them come out of poverty, right? And this is also what I do with the professionals, entrepreneurs, because sometimes entrepreneurs also face roadblocks and plateauing in their business as well. Yeah. So a couple of things that we notice in the low income communities that we work with is this two main things, which is the mindset and the financial challenges, right? And with entrepreneurs, especially during COVID, we notice these challenges as well, which is the loss of income. They have financial challenges. They don't have cash or a backup plan. Even like what do they do when COVID happens? And a lot of people, they lost their jobs and they don't have funds to sustain their lives. And the thing is, they're not clear on how they can innovate or pivot, and that's where they get stuck. And also marketing, they don't know how to market their products and services online. They're so used to doing things offline, doing trading, but they don't know how to leverage on the social internet space. The other thing is that what I noticed during COVID is that there's no support system. People are doing work on their own and they're trying to sell each other stuff. that other people don't need. So there's no community and there's no support to guide them on where their services are needed. And also, this is a mindset issue, which is they can't expand, or they do not know how to expand beyond their comfort zone markets. They're so used to doing business in just Singapore. They're just used to doing business in just Malaysia, for example. And now that we have the internet and we are during COVID, or the whole world is in the pandemic, they don't know how to relate to people outside of their own communities. So this is where we created these communities so that people can get to know each other and do business with each other, learn how to support one another as well. Yeah. And these are also other issues that I noticed. The mindset of an employee who lost their job going into a business is also being challenged, because you can't operate a business from an employee mindset, right? So they still have that trading time for money concept, the fear of change, fear of visibility, don't know how to market that's relevant to today's economy, and amongst other things like not having proper systems and structures, yeah, and not being clear in their desires. So what we do is, when people come into our family leadership community, we create this ecosystem where it's not just about business, but it's also about empowerment, leadership, growing business strategies, making connections, and especially personal development, yeah, and also creating a social impact. The people in our community are people who, that's one of the requirements actually. If you want to do business, it's a business that also does good. It's not just for profit making, but it's also to add value to the planet and people as well. Yeah, and I know Mia and I were in this same coaching program that we were in, and this is also what I noticed about myself as I transform into that mindset of queen, right? I discovered this also when I look back into the kind of people that actually succeed, and who succeeds and who doesn't succeed, or even though they have access to opportunities and training programs, there is a type of person that just gets it, and she comes out of her challenges pretty fast, and she had that realization when she steps into her queen. And this is something I only covered a couple of years ago. And this is Gina Devi, who actually I learned the concept of queenhood on, and this is what I encourage all of you ladies here to step into that queen zone of yours. And these are just some examples of what a queen is, right? She has a no excuses policy. She leads her calendar. Her yes is yes, her no is no. I mean, this means like, she knows her boundaries, and she's very, very clear in her desires and in her communication. The queen is also highly spiritual. She's connected to God, to source. And she's also happy for other people's success. She's never jealous, because when we are jealous, and when someone is successful and we feel resentment, or we feel like, how come she gets it and I don't, that means we are limiting our own abundance, receiving abundance. Yeah. That scarcity mindset is there. So a queen is somebody who is really abundant in her mindset. She is not jealous. She's really happy for other people's success, and she takes care of herself. She's not all about being a mother, like, everything she does is for other people and nothing for herself. When you step into your queenhood, you take care of yourself, because you take care of so many other people, right? You give so much to others, so you got to fill up your own jug, right? And also the queen honors her financial commitments. And this is something I noticed also when I honor my financial commitments. I actually grew in my business as well, right? So it was not like running away from my finances, or trying not to pay people, so I do honor financial commitments, and I take responsibility in that. And that's where I see a lot of transformation in all areas of my life as well. Yeah. And now I would love to hear, and I invited Mia because I had a meeting with her at one time. We met on, I think it was Zoom. Yeah, Zoom or Facebook. Oh, connected on Facebook Messenger first, and then we met on Zoom, right? And then after that, I had a conversation with Mia, and I was just so, I just love her mindset, her energy. And also I did ask Mia about when I saw that she was very active during the Black Lives Matter movement. Like, we here in Asia, we see it as an a spectator, right? We see it from as an audience perspective, and it's like, I'd love to hear the person who actually is in that situation and what do you do about it. And we can also learn from that and also relate in our own communities as how we can step up, with our own zone of genius in any environment that we are in. And I love Mia also because she helps people a lot. And this is what I advocate. It's good to help and live unapologetically. Like, you are abundant. You can have a good life and yet you still help a lot of people. It's not like you help a lot of people and you are suffering in scarcity and not having enough and all that. This is a real queen. So with that, I'd love for you to meet Mia Lamotte. Mia, you have the stage right now, and I'm gonna pass you with all your wisdom and all your knowledge. Over to you, Mia.
Thank you, Murshida. I appreciate that so much. Thanks so much for having me. And yes, you are correct. And I believe that for me, Gina DeVee was definitely the start of that conversation about living unapologetically. But it wasn't until I started working with another coach who actually spoke out a lot about the Black Lives Matter movement. And you would not believe the response that she got. And it made me finally get that when we speak up, like, other people are watching, other people are listening, and it also gives them permission to do the same thing, right? I think that's super important. And I will talk a little bit about what it means to be a disruptor. And I have some tips for you guys today if you like those. And then, share a little bit about my story. Just recently, I belong to another organization, and it's a volunteer organization. And we were talking about the same thing during the pandemic. And the person from our marketing department wanted to know if we wanted to speak up about that particular thing. And everybody on the board, I was a part of the board, and everyone on the board was like, no, this is a social issue. We're not going to talk about this. And what I said to them was like, I absolutely disagree. I was like, I work in the image industry. I was like, and we are the leaders of an industry. And if we're not speaking up about this, even though it does, it did pertain to the US, I was like, we also have to realize that this affects the world. It's not just about what's happening with the social injustice here. It's happening all over the world, and it's been done by colonization. And so we need to start to talk about that, and we need to talk about it in a way that's empowering. We're not trying to blame anyone for anything, but we also need to realize that time is up, right? The time is up. And right now, there's a big transformation that's going on in the world. And if people don't catch up, they're going to be left behind. And the old paradigms, the way that we used to think about things, like, those things are falling to the wayside because people do want to have a more conscious business. And when I think about that, and I'm sure this is the way that Murshida presents it to you guys, is that there's a balance of the masculine and the feminine. What's been happening in the world for so long is that we've been in the masculine. Like, everyone has been in their masculine. And no one has been able to express feelings. They haven't been able to be more nurturing. They haven't been able to be, they haven't been able to embrace the feminine side of them. And this includes men too, right? So when we think about business in general, it's all about the profit. It's all about the bottom line. But you can be in business and still make a lot of money for yourself and have an impact in the world. So I think that's how I see conscious business. And that's really how I see a disruptor being, right? We're disrupting the status quo, right? A disruptor is someone who disrupts the status quo. And the status quo right now is men running things, or what we would say the white male running the show. And we realize that they messed it up. So it's time for us to step in and do our thing, right? And make sure that we create the kind of world that we want to live in. Yes? Yes. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about what a disruptor is, what I think would help you to become one, if that's something that you want to do. Right now, when people talk about disruptors, they're really talking about innovation, right? They're usually talking about people who are inventing things. What I see is that, yes, it's part of that, but most of the time we invent things because we're missing them. I have a client right now whose body has changed. She's like, I used to wear heels all the time. Now I want to, I still want to look good, but I can't wear heels anymore. And so now she's taking matters into her own hands, and she's like, I'm going to design something. I'm going to create something that's going to work for me, but also work for other stylish women out there, right? So it's really about thinking about things that touch us, affect us, and being able to speak out about them and making a change around that. So I think that's what a disruptor does. A disruptor is also someone who has taken some sort of disruption in their own lives. And I think that we've all probably had some of that, right? We've all been disrupted this last year and a half, right? 2020 was a big disruption. And the pandemic is a big disruption, but we've had to sit home and be with ourselves and think about a lot of things and really get connected to source, or disconnected from source, or disconnected from ourselves, right? A lot of people checked out. A lot of people decided, I'm one of them. Like, I totally checked out, y'all. I was like, I do not want to do this. I don't want to deal with what's going on in the world. I don't want to deal with all of this stuff. And really, it just set me further back, right? You just get set back when you disconnect that way. So a disruptor will take that disruption and use it for good. They would use it for something to create a change in the world that they want to see. And, change it into something that we never knew that we needed. Like, I didn't even know I needed this, right? I didn't know I needed a community of women who would be unapologetic about who they are, right? And they create new worlds, they invent things, and they allow other people to be more of themselves by setting an example of doing just that, right? That's what Rashida and I think we learned a little bit from Gina, but also you got to take whatever your coach gives to you and embody it. And it takes a minute to do something like that. Yeah. Any comments or questions about anything I just said? Any disruptors in your lives that you actually like? Like, who are your favorite disruptors? Anybody who's changed the status quo in your country?
Yeah, you can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself and just share. Who do you think are the disruptors in our country?
None? I know they have disruptors in your country. Are you disruptors? I think y'all are the disruptors. Yes?
For sure. Yeah. These are all disruptors here. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So how about 5 tips on how to become a disruptor or to lean more into being a disruptor? You guys good with that? Yeah? Awesome. The first thing that I tell my clients is to really get to know yourself very well. And what I've noticed for myself and for them is that a lot of times we're living out someone else's truth. Who else can attest to that? We're living out somebody's tradition. We're living out somebody else's rules or by somebody else's rules. And we don't even realize that we don't even like the way that we're doing the things that someone else taught us to do, or we're living out of their belief system, right? I had the pleasure of being with some family. My cat is acting up. She's ready to go to bed. She said, so I've been with my family just recently, and my grandfather used to do this thing. All right, Oz. My grandfather used to do this thing where he would grab us by the knee and it would tickle, right? It would either tickle or it would hurt. And so my brother does this now. And we were over at his house and he did it to my godchild, and she got upset and she was like, I don't always like when that happens. And I had to bring to his consciousness that just because it's a tradition doesn't mean that it's the right thing for you to be doing. It doesn't mean that it feels good. It doesn't mean that it's a loving thing to do. And he got really upset with me, right? He was upset because I was challenging this family tradition and making it mean more than what it meant. And I was like, no, The problem is, or what I want you to realize is that this 10-year-old, that's her body. And she gets to say how she wants it to be handled or that she doesn't want it to be handled, right? And that was the thing that I was trying to get my brother to see. And he wasn't doing it in a way to be ugly, but he didn't even realize what he didn't realize. So I think when we have these conversations and, you know, we get to know ourselves really well and actually say something about the things that bother us, or, you know what, I don't like scrambled eggs, right? Whatever it is that we don't like to eat or we don't like to do, we don't really speak up to that. We just do the stuff that we think that we're supposed to be doing. And I want to, you know, give you guys, you know, not that you need my permission, but like give yourselves permission to say no, right? And let it be no. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. Therefore, I'm not going to do it. And if you want to do it, say yes to yourself, right? Love that you mentioned that earlier. Oh, the other part of getting to know yourself really well is your spiritual connection, right? When we are centered and we live from a place of love and not fear, which is, I mean, this is what you guys are talking about here. When we come from a place of love, things are very different than when we come from fear. I believe that what's going on with the social unrest here in the US has a lot to do with fear. There is there's a certain person or entity in charge, and they're very fearful of losing that power. And they should be, because there is going to be a shift, right? And I think that when people operate from fear, it boils over into everything else. And when we learn to operate from a place of love, things change quickly. They change quickly. Number 2, adopt a badass mindset. Marshita was talking about mindset, and I think that a lot of us believe that it's affirmations and things like that, and it is, but there's also a part of us that we don't do that on a daily practice, right? We don't work on our mindset daily. And what I recently read this 300,000 rule. Have you guys heard of that? The 300,000 rule. It takes 300 times to do something to change a habit, but it takes 3,000 times to do it, to make it to embody it. So if we're really wanting to change the way we see the world, we have to be conscious of our mindset and changing that over 3,000 times for it to become part of us. Yeah. So you want to adopt this badass mindset, and you got to do this daily. And, you know, you've got to have support. You got to have support when you're trying to do that, and uncover the things that have been stopping you, because the things that have been stopping you in one area of your life are probably stopping you in other areas of your life. I'm not an avoider, but I am really good at not dealing with certain things. I can just be like my cat right now, who's acting a fool out here. Like, I can totally ignore her. I mean, it's annoying to me, but I can say, you know what, she'll be okay. And I'll deal with her when I get through with you guys, right? So I'm really good at doing that. And what I realize is that sometimes I forget to go and deal with her because I've put it off for so long. I haven't dealt with her. And then when she is ready to erupt, it's going to be a big problem, right? Because I've ignored it for so long. So for our finances, the tax guy, we have an accountant online. I know she knows a lot of people who've done this, right? I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and she said, you know, I'm not even sure if I'm a S corp or an LLC, and it's a term that we use here in the US. And I was thinking to myself, like, how do you not know that about your business? And then I was like, oh, you did the same thing like 3 years ago. You didn't even know that you needed to have that designation, right? So when we can really start to look at ourselves and see how we let certain things stop us, that's one of the things I would say the biggest thing that I would try to embody the quickest. Yeah. All right. Number 3, be the person you aspire to be. Is it hard? Yes. But is it hard being the person that you don't want to be? Yeah, that's even harder, right? Because I know when I show up and I'm not my full 100% self, that's actually harder for me than me actually stepping into the person that I aspire to be. And what do I mean by that? It's the person that's really true to who you are. You would not have the desire, and I'm sure you guys talk about this, you wouldn't have the desire if it wasn't really who you are. It wouldn't even be on your radar. So let's just say you're the kind of person who wants to travel the world and give seminars, right, to women all over the globe. But your husband says that's a silly dream, or why do you even want to do something like that? That's stupid. It's not. Like the reason that you desire it is because it's for you. So when we think about, dampering ourselves down to make somebody else comfortable, I think women do that all the time. It probably happens more in your country than it's happening here. Like, stay true to who you are, and you can do that in a way that's still respectful to other people, right? So your desires is your truth. And once you accept that and live into that, I think that being the person you aspire to be is gonna be a whole lot easier. Know where you're going, know where you wanna go in your life. And then the final thing about being who you aspire to be, like, you gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable. A lot of us do things, we say, oh, we're perfectionists. This is my favorite one. We say we're perfectionists, but really a lot of us are avoiding the one big thing that we need to do, right? Yeah. I don't do PowerPoint slides, like slide decks and stuff. I'm not really good at that stuff. And so I wait until the very last minute to do them. And I end up dreading it the entire time, like dreading it up until the time I start doing it. And then I'm like, why am I even doing slides? I don't even like slide decks. So I don't do them anymore. I just don't do them. So know yourself and be the person you aspire to be. If you aspire to be a person who does not do slide decks, then just don't do them. Right? All right, number 4, speak up. I believe, for me, having that conversation with my board members was very pivotal in the way I saw myself and the way that they saw me. I was in charge of this huge conference, and honestly, I don't think they thought I was gonna be able to pull it off, right? And it was the confidence that I got from speaking up and knowing how many other people thought that this issue was a really big issue for us. That was the conference theme. When they said, no, we're not going to talk about it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're actually going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it on a bigger stage than just a post on social media. I'm going to make this one of the conference themes. And we had over, I think, 3 or 4 speakers who spoke about diversity and inclusion and equity, but also we had a panel. And now we're having a special interest group, and people were hungry for this kind of stuff, right? They were hungry to talk about it. They wanted to learn more, and they wanted to do more. And if I wouldn't have spoken up, it wouldn't have been a theme at the conference. It wouldn't have been part of our, it wouldn't be part of our agenda now. So make sure that you speak up, because one of the things that Gina taught us is that what's personal is universal. So if you're going through something or you're feeling some kind of way about a thing, somebody else is feeling that way too. And when you speak up, it gives other people permission to do the same thing or to join your cause, right? Feel the fear and speak up anyway. I'm scared. I was like, what am I doing? Why am I going to speak up about this? And when you come from a place of authenticity, when you come from a place of, I know that what I'm doing is the right thing, then the fear kind of dissipates. Like, I was scared when I spoke up, but when I said something, I was like, you know what? I am convicted in what I'm talking about. Just like we're convicted in our faith, I'm convicted in what I'm talking about. And there's no way that if they decide that they don't want me on the board anymore, like that's cool too. I'm just gonna go start my own organization, right? So things like that, like we gotta feel the fear, but we walk through it, and we gotta speak up anyway, because what's happening to you is happening to someone else, or what has happened to you, or what you're trying to overcome, someone else is trying to overcome it too. I think Deanna said that she works with teens. Like I have a friend who does the same, who does some very similar work as you do. And one of the things that I realized is like, wow, I wish I'd have had this kind of thing when I was growing up. I wish somebody was trying to guide me and help me to do these kinds of things when I was growing up. I think I would have been further along a whole lot quicker, right? And I would be able to adjust and have really better life skills if I had someone doing that kind of thing. So thank you for your service. And like, somebody had to speak up. Somebody had to say, this is a great idea. And you guys did. And then finally, the last one that I would say to be a really great disruptor is to do it your way. Do it your way. It doesn't have to look like somebody else's. Oftentimes, especially when you're online and you're marketing and you're doing all the work online, you'll see a certain trend and you'll see things that other people are doing, and you'll think that you have to do them too. And therefore, you're doing the things that they're doing, you're doing the things that you think you need to do, and then you're doing the things that your coach told you to do. And that's a lot of stuff, right? And we get overwhelmed. And what I realized just this year, right? This came to me probably about 3 or 4 months ago. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do any of it. I was like, I don't want to do any more of this. Like, I am simplifying, I'm streamlining. I'm not doing a live. I was doing lives on Facebook 3 times a week. And it was because my business manager was like, you should be in your Facebook group often, right? And then when I stopped doing it, she's like, you didn't do them enough. So now your group is not engaged. And what I realized is that I was doing it her way, and I was getting resentful about doing it her way. And when I gave myself permission to say, you know what, I don't want to do all this complicated stuff. I don't read all those emails that my coaches or other people send to me. I don't really go on Facebook Lives and listen, 3 times a week. Like, why would I want other people to show up that way? So when I started listening to my own intuition and listening to or thinking about how I wanted to be nurtured or talked to, or how I wanted to participate in a group or to learn things online, that's really when I got super clear about, oh, I want to streamline things because I want less is more. I want more impact, and I want it to be quicker. Yeah. And then, are you clean? Oh, we talked about the traditional stuff. And then the other part is like, let's not do stuff because that's the way it's always been done. I used to work for the government, and state government is so famous for, we do it this way because this is the way it's always been done. I used to work in the judicial system. So you can imagine how we just do things for the sake of doing them. And there's no rhyme or reason or no purpose. And I sort of saw that in my own business, right? I created these beautiful workbooks because I saw my coach, Gina, she had these gorgeous workbooks. And I was like, but this really isn't even my style. And how many of my clients, this is the big aha moment for me. I was like, how many of my clients are actually accessing the workbooks? And when I took a look at the numbers, they were just showing up for the coaching calls. They just wanted the coaching calls. They were glad to have the reference, but I didn't need to go and hire a copywriter, a graphic designer, an online business manager, and to create these workbooks for me so that they could look like Gina's, right? I needed them to be my own thing. And learning to trust yourself and honor that and doing things your way is the way to be really disruptive. Because like I said, if you've gone through something, if you're experiencing something, someone else is as well, and they need you to speak up, be the person to help them to guide them through it. Yep. All right. Trust yourself. Do it your way. All right. Any questions? I know that was a lot in a short amount of time. Trying to follow the guidelines.
Any questions? Anyone? Or you can unmute yourself. Go ahead. Yep.
Actually, I've been trying to think of how I can do it differently, because my group are all elderly ladies that are not tech savvy. So it's quite refreshing that I hear that things can be done a different way, and I'm definitely going to start thinking about how the elderly can be very comfortable, maybe having their own, some kind of system that is not too complicated to be online.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom is pretty easy. I would say Zoom is probably the easiest thing that we have thus far, right? But even if they're not Zoom savvy, how else could you communicate with them? One of the things that I realized that I hate emails. Like, I don't like to read them. I don't like to write them. I detest responding to them, right? It's almost like somebody sends you an email and you're like, dang, I got to do something with this, right? And most of the time I have to go and research something. So what I've been doing is Loom, Loom. I respond to people, or I even send out emails using a Loom video. I do way better speaking, right, than I do with the written communication. And I want people to understand like the nuances, right, that like how I'm actually feeling, my emotional stuff. And I can't really do that from an email, because you know how we infer a lot of things from an email. And so I actually prefer the video thing. And that might be a way for you to communicate with your audience. And you can actually share screen too, so you can show them how to use things. So you're actually empowering them and teaching them a new skill all at the same time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because technology is here to stay. You know, this is one of the things I believe that we get to do. We get to get better at technology. We don't have to do it all.
I'll definitely try to look at Loom.
Yeah, look at Loom. You can send them instructional videos. You can respond to them. They might even start to have fun and do their own Loom videos and send something back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Certainly a takeaway for me.
Yeah, awesome.
Great. Diana, you also have a question you want to ask?
Okay, I want to ask, what made you start doing what you are doing? And how did you involve in the Black Lives Matters? What did you do, or what you are still doing?
So how did I get into branding? So I actually went to beauty school at the age, like it was part of my high school curriculum. And I was a beauty school dropout. That's some hard work, y'all. I don't know if y'all know anyone who is in that industry, but I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do this for the rest of my life. And so I've always been interested in it, but I did the practical thing. I went to college and I got a real job with benefits, right? Because that's what my parents told me I needed to do. So that's what I did. And I was miserable. I was bored and I was miserable. And there was this lady who, we were in the break room one day and I was reading a fashion magazine and she was like, what are you doing? I was like, reading a magazine. Like, doesn't everybody read magazines? Doesn't everybody read a fashion magazine? And she was like, no. She's like, I believe you're in the wrong industry. And, I kind of got mad. I was kind of mad at her. Like, why you, like, I know you have interests outside of this work. She's like, really though, I think you're in the wrong industry. And it wasn't until I went to a transformational training that I finally gave myself permission to think about something else. And I've been doing image consulting and I'd been kind of like dabbling in it. And it wasn't until about, I think it's been 3, maybe 4 years ago that I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with status quo. I'm done with doing things for the sake of doing things. And I'm just going to do this my way. And that's how I got into it. the Black Lives Matter movement, it's not really, I'm not really part of Black Lives Matter. I'm more a part of how do we create equity for everyone and inclusivity. Because what I realize is that a lot of people who don't understand the movement, they think it's an affront to them. And I do want people to understand that that's not what it's about, right? But that's also not my job. Like, they can go and do some research and figure that out. What I'm really interested in and what I'm really passionate about is having women, mostly women of color, realize that they're valuable no matter what, just because they're here. And also looking at people who have been disparaged, people who are differently abled, people who are older, people who are younger, people who are of a different nationality. Like, we've typically discounted them or counted them out. And I think that we are really moving into a place where we're realizing that everybody has value. But the person has to realize that value first. And so I'm more about making sure that we understand our value. That way we can go out into the world and make sure everybody else does too.
All right, thank you.
Can I also, you said inclusivity. That's what I've been wanting to do for the women of above 55. We kind of feel a bit useless and nobody wants to listen to you. So if you have any ideas of how I could get them to be included back into society, which it's quite a struggle for me to do that.
Absolutely. First, let's drop the struggle, right? Let's drop that whole thing about we feel useless. I think there needs to be a shift about, I'm over 55. I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot to offer, and I still have a lot of life in me. I had a client on yesterday, and she's like, I'm 66, and she's like, I have a lot more to do, right? And I really think it's just about how we see ourselves and how we see, and even our society, right? Our society typically sees women who are over the age of 30, frankly, or 35, right? You can't have kids after 35. Like, we have nothing else about what you have to offer, right? And I think that when we look at someone over 55, they've had so many different life experiences. They've had so many insights and wisdoms that we just don't have. And I think if you have them lean into that instead of we're useless, right? And even if they have grandkids, because I think a lot of women over the age of 50, I know especially 55 in my family, when my aunts became grandmothers, they felt like that was all they were there to do, was babysit. And like, that too is a disservice to everyone, because there's so much more out there for them to do and for them to share. So I would start with you. Like, what do you want to bring forth in the world, right? What do you want to bring forth? And then ask those women that too, because they have stuff. They're just afraid to say something, to talk about it. Give them permission to do that.
Great. Reframe. Yes. Go ahead, T.
Hey there. Hi, this is T. I wish I could physically interact, but my bandwidth is so weak at the ranch. And I appreciate you, Marshita, Mia, everybody here. This is such a wonderful opportunity. I was thinking about this topic of how am I a disruptor? And I'm in the equine world, right? Like, that world is very masculine, very patriarchal in various cultures, right? And I also navigate this unique space where as a gender, in my gender identity, I'm non-gender specific, but there's this pressure for me to define it, and I have no interest in that. But then when it comes to race as well, I tend to be the token Black person, right? Because I'm in the equine world where it's very conservative, a lot of Trump supporters, a lot of tension between BLM and politics. So I get dumped into this really awkward sort of space with this burden that I feel to broker some understanding, right? So what I did, and I have this personal interest in bridging, like just completely shattering this race conversation. I found out that genetically I'm very, very, very mixed. Like I knew my father was very mixed, but I'm part Chinese, part Indonesian, part Italian, part German, part French, all this stuff, right? When I got my genetics back, I was at a barn that's predominantly white. And I'm 10% British Irish. Like I got a lot going on, right? It just goes on and on and on. But
sound like my relative.
I know, right? But nobody can see that because they just see this pigmentation as Black.
Right.
Right. However, my DNA is my DNA, right? So I had a bunch of like white ranchers, conservative Trumpers do 23andMe. Their result had Chinese, African, Sub-Saharan. I was so blown away. They were blown away because they don't look like they have any form of, and they never identified as multi-ethnic.
Right.
And it changed the way they walked to Starbucks when they said, dude, I could be like interacting with a relative that's Spanish or Asian of their descent, and they never knew it. So my interest is disrupting this race baiting paradigm that pigeonholes us into how we appear as if that's who we are, right? So
yes.
So that's why I'm really like, I love this space that Murshida and Zil and Dr. Aziza and KC and have like really provided through Clubhouse, right? Like, and this, audio platforms, to expand the global connection of our humanity, right? So my thing is, if we can get people to do their genetic testing, they're probably going to have to deal with the fact that they hate themselves.
I agree with you. And I think the thing about that one is too, is like, good luck getting people to do genetic testing. They already don't trust the government, right? So what are they going to do with my genetics once they get all of my information?
I thought the same thing. And these, don't tread on us. Hey, I know my rights. They were so blown away when they looked at me and saw that I am British, Irish by blood, Asian by blood.
Yeah.
They could not reconcile their paradigm of what identity was because some of them were adopted. So they needed to find out where they're from. So it just changed this, the conventions. And I think, it might be valid, to like, it'll shut a lot of people up. I think that much.
Absolutely. And I think that, the first thing that I said about being a disruptor is to get to know yourself really well. That was one of the things that I did too. After my parents passed away, my brother wanted to do, we did the other one, and I can't think of it, ancestry.com. And I was like, why do you want to do this? Like, this is stupid. Like, we already know, where our family comes from and da-da-da-da. And what I realized was that it helped me to be more self-accepting. It helped me to really understand my roots and understand the things that, this is probably going to be like really crazy when I say this to, in this group. I had somebody in college say to me, you dress like a white girl, right? I went to an HBCU, which is a historically Black college and university. And I had a guy say to me that I dress like a white girl. And I was like, I don't even understand that what he was saying, right? I don't even understand the words that are coming out of his mouth right now. But when I did my DNA, when I got the results back and I realized that I was more European than anything, and I was growing up in Louisiana under this construct of, oh, you're Creole, you're Black, right? It's a big thing, and I'm not going to get into all of that for the sake of this conversation, but the point is this. Once I realized that me dressing white made way more sense to me at that point, right? From his perspective. And the other thing that I realized was that when I went to France, that felt like home. And so a lot of times when we understand these things about ourselves and when we take these DNA tests, we realize that there's so much more to us than meets the eye, but then also we can get connected to those parts of us that we haven't been connected to before because nobody knew to connect us there, right?
Yes, it's a wonderful thing because on a cellular level, I've always known I've had Asian like energy in my system. Like I've always known that on a cellular level. I've always known I was part European on a cellular level, African on a cellular level. There's certain ancestral compositions that never even occurred to me because it doesn't resonate with me on a cellular level, right? But
Absolutely.
every part of that result that was a composition of my DNA resonates with me on a cellular level. So it's like, let's get to the blueprint of our design and then we work out the kinks from there.
Absolutely, because race, guys, race is a social construct. Race and gender, they're all social constructs. They are. And that's a whole other conversation. We'll save that one for later. Yeah. But once we realize that, and we realize that everybody, if we're coming from a spiritual place, like we all came from the same place, right? We were all created by the same entity. And once we realize that there is no difference between us, we're all going to bleed, right? And we all going to die like the same way, like the heart will stop beating. The race is the human race.
I was just going to say that it does not really matter. Even if, you don't have your DNA, we're all human race.
Yeah.
And absolutely. It should not even come to mind, this is different from that.
Yeah.
See everybody as one race. Yes.
Absolutely.
I think I prefer to adopt that in my system and internalize that. I have been brought up in a multiracial society. Probably it's easier for me to say that. We see everybody as just another person. It doesn't matter. Until now, if you ask me right now, every other person is the same to me.
Here in America, it's a lot worse.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah, it's bad here. And T, I would say, and I don't want to spend too much time, I don't want to give you all the juice, but you already disrupting by being in that space. You're already disrupting being in you say crypto or eco, what did you say?
Equine therapy.
Equine, right. You're already disrupting. You're already disrupting because people don't even know what to make up of you. And when you are in those spaces, that's when a disruption happens because you're bringing to light things that they would not have seen before. So you're already doing that.
Okay, so my last comment is that the beauty of it is, and thank you so much, Farouz. Is that how you pronounce your name, Farouz?
I think she said yes.
Yes, I unmuted because my granddaughter is making a bit of noise.
Yes. Thank you for making that point because we all are one human race, right? So in our country, in America, we're dealing with some paradigms that have just created a narrative that's just a false start about what race means. And it's been weaponized and just divided us. And so we have to now participate in this disruptive like renaissance, right? A racial renaissance, a reckoning of like humanity of some sort. And so I'm so in love with this space because it is about love and respect, right? The most fundamental energy in the universe is what designed each human being. It's the blueprint of who we are, no matter what the race, right? So we're back to love. We're back to love, and then we're back to respect. And then the genetics is just a tool to like rattle the wits of people because, it's just a tool. But that's it. Thank you guys. I'm done talking. Obviously, I'm from Clubhouse, so I have that protocol. Bye.
Clubhouse was a disruption.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, anybody else has any questions or comments? I'd love to hear Mia's take on this because I also teach corporate training in terms of image and branding, and sometimes I've been given very interestingly, I mean, it's in Malaysia, right? I mean, some of you here are in Malaysia, from Malaysia, and you understand certain dress requirements in the office, right? So they say, okay, you can dress like, you say like a white person. Yeah, it's okay to dress like a white person as long as your skirt's longer and certain kind of thing. You can dress your own cultural clothes, but you cannot wear a jubah. A jubah means like the Arabic clothes. You're not allowed to wear that. So it's like, and I asked, is there a reason why? I said, no, it's just not accepted. It's just not in our corporate culture to dress, like the way the Arabs wear the long dress, which is, it still covers the essential, the important parts. And it's the same thing, like if you wear it with a kebaya, which is the Malay style, and it's still, it's still modest, but they specifically say you are not allowed to wear the jubah. So well, when I do corporate training, I follow the guidelines of that company. But I would like to also, and sometimes I do question. I say like, why is that? And then I will say, okay, this is what I will be teaching. This is not what I will be sharing, and this is something I don't agree on. What about you? Do you face this kind of thing as well, where people say, I'd like you to share like this. This is what they're allowed to wear, and how do you deal with companies that says, I don't want you teaching them on how to dress other than what the white way of dressing, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I struggled with it for a really long time. And what I realized is that my corporate client and my private client, they're the same person. So they have to be open-minded. They have to be disruptive. They have to want to shift the status quo. And it sounds like those corporations that you're working with are not those kinds of businesses. So I just don't work with them, Rashida. For me, it's more about, if I can't open your eyes to something new as a business owner or as a corporation, then my value as a person is not going to be honored. Right? So if I can't open your eyes to see a different way, to see that we've all been colonized, and to see that the European ideals are not the only ideals of the world, right? They have been, but that's no longer. And if we can't begin to have those conversations, even like okay, let's just say, you go to a corporation and you say to them, look, I'd love to work with you, but here's how I like to work. And here's what I believe would add value to your company. Because when people are able to be themselves and dress the way that they want to dress, that gives them more autonomy. It gives them more creative license, right? And when you can do that in a corporation, that's going to make the corporation better. They just haven't caught on to that yet because they're too busy. Here we're going into that whole paradigm of love and fear. They're so fearful of letting people run wild, right? That they still trying to control with just something as simple as the way people dress and what's professional and what's not.
Love it. Yeah, exactly. What I do this year since COVID, I said exactly the same thing, and it felt good. Before that, I was like, okay, I won't even mention it, but it just didn't feel right. But this last year, I was like, I really stepped into my power. And you know what? Because I did that, I'm not going to share with all of you here, because I did that and I set boundaries on what I am willing to share authentically about my message. I got like a year-long contract with one of the major GLCs here in Malaysia. Yeah, 1 year long contract. And then the boss happened to be sitting there, and there were some people in the room looking uncomfortable and all that. And the person who was marketing me, my agent, was saying, like, he was like, oh my God, we're going to lose the deal because I said this, I said like, well, this is what it is. If you're looking to succeed, this is what it's going to be like. Otherwise, I think, I can't support you. And I saw my agent was looking like a bit nervous. And then the boss was there and he said, this is the first person who actually said something I wanted to hear. And I got the deal right on the spot. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is the whole thing that I was saying about being true to who you are. When we're true to who we are, it doesn't matter. Our sources, those companies, like, this is one of the things that I forget who I was having a conversation with. And when she said it, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Those companies, those people who we want to become our clients, those husbands, those whoever, right? They're resources. We only have one source. And that source is going to always take care of you. You just got to be true to yourself. And when she said that to me, I was like, I've been doing this. I've been going about this all the wrong way, because I was really relying on the resources and not the source as much, right? And those resources were not aligned with who I am and how I want to show up in the world. So good for you. I'm so glad you got that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
you still have time for some questions? I think.
Yes. Come on.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, ladies. Any other questions?
I would like to share. This is
Yeah.
Mia sharing. Hi, everyone. Okay, I resonate so much on what you are saying and what Mushida has said, because I am still employed with the government. So I'm a teacher by trade, and let me tell you, it's really horrible where I'm working. You know, I have shared with everybody else and also Mushida that, you know, I've been working with this toxicity and the toxic people around me. So the main thing is you cannot speak up. You are not allowed to speak up. You have to follow certain tradition ways of doing things. And we have been doing this for 20 years, and this is how you should do it. So I'm a very outspoken person. So when I don't like the way things are going, I speak up. And so recently, when I did my master's degree, I wrote a thesis about distributed leadership. And distributed leadership is about, it's not about delegating the workload, but sharing the ideas and achieving the organization goals together. But these people don't get it. It's like delegation, distributed leadership is you are delegating work because you are lazy to do it. So, and you know what? I kind of like value my own thoughts, my own values. So I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to listen to whatever these people are putting on me. I'm still going to speak up. So so when you speak up in this organization, it's like I'm being too aggressive, I'm being too strong, and they are actually influencing the other employees not to follow me, and I just don't care about it. That is how I detach myself. And one more thing, talking about races. I'm an Indian, and I'm married to a Malay, and I became a Muslim. You know, I convert to become a Muslim. And then my two girls, my eldest and my youngest is 9, and both of them, they have two different races to embrace. And my eldest, she will say, I'm more to Malay. So my youngest will say, I'm more to Indian. So I used to tell them, it's okay. Embrace whatever that you feel and you resonate. Your DNA, you know, when you talk about your DNA, you just resonate with what you feel. And I am trying to tell my kids that it's okay. It's okay, because they are mixed. And when they are in school, the friends tell them, hey, you look Malay, you look Indian. So when they come back home, and then they'll tell me, I said, it's okay. Just resonate with what you feel inside. If you feel, because they are more attached to my family, my Indian roots, so they get confused. But I don't want them to get confused in that. And also, and when I speak up, and sometimes when I speak up on the phone or in a meeting, they will ask me, Mommy, why did you say that? So I teach my girls that it's okay to speak up sometimes. It's okay to say no. You cannot always follow what people say. So that is how I actually detach myself from the workspace that I have and the race that I'm in, and the community I'm in. But being in Mushida's space, I love to be here. That's why I always show up, because this is the positive aerospace that I want to be. I detach myself by doing that. So I choose to come out from the toxicity and come into the a personal space where it's positive, and I love this community so much. Yeah, they allow me to be embrace the values.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you are encouraging your girls to embrace what they want to embrace and to be themselves. I have a 9 and a 10-year-old at my house right now. I don't have kids, and my goddaughter and my cousin's child, so my third cousin, whatever, they're here with me, and one goes to bed early and one is a night owl. And I think society teaches us you need to go to bed at 9 o'clock. But what I realize is that this child she's creative at night. She's a night owl. And there are people in the world who can thrive if they were just given the permission to be themselves, right? And I'm using something very, very simple to kind of explain something that's super dynamic. Like, we've been taught that you need to be a morning person in order to be productive. That's not even true. Like, I'm a total morning person, but what I've realized is that that's not even true. Just like for you, like being in that kind of environment at work, you cannot, what I heard was so many twos, like you're to this, you're to that. Girl, embrace all of the twos. Like I just had a conference, a retreat that I did, and I wanted people to embrace their extraness, all of the things that they say you're too much of, right? Because that's just a way for them to help us to dim our light. And when we do that, that makes them comfortable, but it makes us uncomfortable. When we dim our light, that's the thing that's making us sick. It's the thing that's making us feel bad about ourselves. It's the thing that's putting us into addiction. So when we dampen ourselves down to make other people feel comfortable, we're actually hurting ourselves and not really helping them. So just, like, I love the fact that you're telling your girls, like, don't worry about that. You get to be who you are. So thank you for that.
Most welcome.
Yeah. Anything else? Anyone else?
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that you said we only have one source. We only have one source. The rest are all resources. Oh, that's so powerful. Yeah. Anyone else? Those who just came in. Hello, Hariati. Welcome. Aisha, welcome. One last question before I know it's late for the America. So, anybody wants to say?
And it's definitely past my bedtime. I'm usually in bed by 9.
I appreciate this. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is fun. Like, I like to challenge myself too. I practice what I preach. So I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Okay.
Scientifically, I think the body needs to rest after about 10 or 11. That's what I've been reading. The spleen needs a rest. The heart needs a rest and things like that. So I think going to bed early is a good practice.
Well,
I don't do it. I can't myself. I'm a late person. But at the same time, I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning. So the reason why you're not getting all of your rest is because somebody told you need to be up by 9 o'clock, or you need to be up by 7 o'clock, right? Or you have to show up for a job that starts at that hour. But if you could sleep for your 8 hours or your 10 hours after you stay up all night, then you would be fine. I think what my point is this: we've had these rules and these restrictions about how to be.
Yes. I understand.
And those rules and restrictions don't always match who we actually are.
That's right. Some people really work better at night.
Okay, Aisha? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have this question. It's about authenticity. That's so intriguing on what you shared, and the thing about you mentioned about standing your ground and stay firm to what you believe in, and it's so inspiring. But I just want to have this. I have this question. Like, how long do you take to actually like tap on your authenticity, because a lot of us, like I was talking about self-esteem, sharing with my girlfriend a few days ago on live, and we were talking about self-esteem and authenticity. If we don't have enough self-esteem, we will not be able to acknowledge our own authenticity. We will just be a follower, and we will not be to know how we are and what we want to become. Yeah, so I just want to know, how long does it take for you to grow in that authenticity zone? Because I really admire, and it's so inspiring.
Thank you. Every damn day. I'm doing it every damn day, you know, and the part of it, this is how it started. I got into image consulting because I wanted to be appropriate. I got into image consulting because I thought that I was doing something the wrong way and I needed to learn how to do it the right way. That's how I even got into this industry. And what I realized is that, oh, that was backwards as well, right? We had it all wrong. And so let me just give you a little bit of background about what authenticity actually is. A lot of us think that authenticity is being able to show up as our natural selves, right? Like no makeup, like, you know, being a schlep or whatever. That's part of it. But what authenticity really means is that you are the author of your life. So it's a derivative of author, right? So when we think about our source and how he, she, it's a creator, right? We get to create our dynamics too. We get to create in the same kind of way. And when I think about being authentic, that's what I think about. I think about being the author of what's going on for me in my own life, but also understanding myself, like understanding the fact that I've always wanted to go to bed early, right? I've always been the kind of person to be like, I don't even want to go out. I want to stay in and go to bed. And when you're young, people make you wrong about stuff when you want to go in early, right? They make fun of you. And authenticity is about saying, you know what? I need to be in my bed by 9 o'clock. And that kind of thing. That's being authentic, right? And not saying that I don't stay out or I don't stay up late, because I'm up late now. But the point is that I'm okay with admitting that I need to be in my bed by 9 o'clock. And before, I wasn't okay with that because people would make fun of me. And I also understand that I get to write my own story. I get to write my own story as the author and being in my authenticity. It's a great question. Yeah. Was that helpful?
Yeah, beautiful.
Aisha?
Yes, yeah. Aisha has she's there, but she's got a client, so she just
yes, it's so helpful. Thank you so much for that clarification, because it does help. Because a lot of people question about discipline, authenticity, and what do you really want? And it does confuse many to think about they want to conform to the discipline, they want to conform to what the let's say the society expected it out of them, but they just couldn't be because they are not the way it is. Some people are just flexi lifestyle and they are just flexi as a person. But if you put them into rigid condition, it's gonna like put them down and they couldn't grow out of it. They're just gonna be stuck forever. So I that's why I asked this amazing question and you answered it well. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're so welcome.
Okay, Aisha, can you ask your client to just wait like 2 seconds? Can we take a photo before we close the room? And I know some of you have to leave also. Okay. How about Laura and T, Haryati? Are you able to turn on your camera and take a photo together? If you can't, it's okay. All right, so we go. Yeah.
In their PJs.
Yeah, okay, there you go. All right, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Mia. Thanks so much for that.
Welcome.
So
it's been my pleasure.
I love it. And for everyone else, if you have any takeaways and how you love Mia's talk, post it in the WhatsApp group or post it in send a message to me or tag us on Facebook, and then we'd love to share that session on like what you took from Mia's session as well. All right. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Mia. And if you can,
thanks for having me.
Thank Thank you. So you can stay on here for about 5 minutes for if anybody wants to know about how you can get into the Feminine Leadership Community. Please stay on. And thank you, Mia. I mean, I don't want to hold you back because, it's late for you. So
Yeah, I'm going to put my cats to bed.
yeah, okay. Thanks. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Mia. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Lots of love. Okay, so I just want to share a little bit before we close the room on how you can join in the Feminine Leadership Community. So I hope you all enjoyed that. We do this every month, and I do look out for speakers to make sure that we come out of this mindset of always knowing things or seeing things done in the same way of thinking, right? So that's the reason why we do a Feminine Leadership Community, so that we all can step up and become better leaders and be relevant in today's world. So one of the other things that I also talk about being a queen is you have a healthy money mindset. Now, we just did a money mindset makeover recently, and queens are also led by faith and intuition. And I love what Mia said about we only have one source and the others are all resources, right? So queens are also very good at giving and receiving. She also respects herself and others. She's authentic, leads by example. She's never the victim, and she goes for it no matter what, and she perseveres. And that's why sometimes we need to be in a community to have this kind of clarity, because if you can do it yourself, but from my personal experience, being in a community, having a mastermind partner, having mentors and coaches that guides me, that's where you really step into your zone of genius, and that's what you just focus on in your work. Yeah. So we do all of these things, provide consistent support and accountability, create mastermind partnerships, coaching and mentorship, global connections, investment and funding opportunities, support women to build their tribes and lead their positive communities. And we also have a One Help One that benefits low-income, homeless, and refugees with all the work that we do, including if any of you would like to be a member in our community. These are some of the work that we have done in the past, where every corporate training I do also contributes to the marginalized community. So we can support you to create your own purpose, your own cause through your business. Yeah. And some more pictures and some celebrations. We've had successes in the past where people from zero start to earn regular five figures in their business, going for their close to their 10K months already. Yeah, higher. Some here 10K months already, and these are areas that we specifically support on. Number one is the mindset, and this is very important. The money mindset, your confidence, resilience. We also support business owners in terms of their marketing, like how to create personal branding, business branding, identifying your ideal clients, getting you to really hone into your presentation skills for pitching purposes, speaking purposes, sales purposes, as well as for those of you who want to conduct training in your business. Yeah. And also this is the fourth one, which is on networking. Like T and Laura, we met on Clubhouse, and this is what we do, create visibility on various business platforms like Clubhouse, social media, now Zoom, and also our collective personal connections, yeah, and networking events. And the last but not least, and this is I would say the DNA of our business model, is to create that social impact in your business, your legacy. How can you create your legacy through your business, that whenever when you leave this earth, your message, your business, your work is still going on to benefit future generations? So Zil and I were coached by Kevin Harrington, the original Shark of Shark Tank. And also, I've been covered in a lot of media work through, because of the social impact work that I do through my business. And this is something that I would love to get the people in our community to be more visible in, going into global medias and connections, visibility, so that your message will grow bigger and wider in a good way. Yeah, because this is why we want to support you to spread your message throughout the world. And this is something I've tried and tested on myself. I mean, last year the Tampa City Council people also got me to speak in their CafeCon Tampa for just before the US elections. So coming from in Malaysia, they actually asked me to share about how can they have more love and respect. So it was something that's what we do during COVID time. We really support each other across the world with tips and ideas on how we all can do better in our work, in our business. Yeah. So the people that support us also include ASEAN organizations like the ASEAN CSR Network and the ASEAN Responsible and Inclusive Business Alliance, as well as Brands for Good and M Brands in the US. These are some of the people that are supporting us also in the community. Charlie Ang, futurist in Singapore, who talks about trends. So we are better prepared to create the business model where it will be anti-fragile. Ari Zainuddin, who is a branding consultant, he works with major brands, and he's also coaching the people in our community to create brands that actually do good, that are purpose-driven brands. Yeah. So Zil and I, we will be supporting you through your work. And for the ladies in this community, we have this program also incorporated, which is the Asian Women Taking on Global Impact. So if you're in the feminine leadership, this is also part of the course for you to go global, and the modules will also be included in the family leadership and the Live a Legacy community. Yeah. So every Wednesday, we do have networking on Clubhouse. It's actually at 9:30 p.m. Singapore time. I highly recommend that you get there and get to meet people, share about your business, talk about it, collaborate, and get to know other people as well. Yeah. So I am open to share a 30-minute strategy call for those of you who would like to know how you can actually do more and be better in your business growth and influence. You can book a 30-minute strategy call with me after this. Yeah, so our membership also contributes to the low income, marginalized communities, and also refugees who looking to come out of poverty. We have a 1-year mentorship program for them here as well. Yeah. So with that, thank you so much everyone for being here. Thanks for staying behind. Aisha, Puan Rose Wahida, T, Haryati, Diana, and with that, thank you. Lots of love and respect. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.